These people have one thing in common, and surprisingly it's not just America, it's actually Cameroon. Yes, their ancestral roots leads back to one African country. And the reason why so many African Americans trace their lineage to Cameroon can be explained in one word: Bimbia. A name very few people know, yet it holds one of the most important keys to understanding the transatlantic slave trade. So what was Bimbia? Bimbia was a small kingdom located in southwest Cameroon, near to the city we call nowadays Limbe. It's also on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. It was an active slave port between the 17th and the 19th centuries. But Bimbia was not just any port. It was easily accessible from the interior villages of Cameroon, right by the ocean for quick boating, surrounded by dense forests which helped hide illegal activities. These factors made it an ideal point for massive human exports, used by both local African networks and European traders. So you might ask yourself the following question: how did enslaved people end up there? Most of the captives came from the inland region, place now known as Bamileke, Tikar, Bassa, or even Douala territories and more. They were captured through razzia, slave raids, war between local kingdoms, or even sold by local traffickers to European slave traders. Once captured, they were marched to Bimbia, chained by the neck, wrist, or ankle, often walking for hundreds of kilometers over days or weeks. As you can imagine, many died along the way. Those who survived entered the next phases: detention and preparation for sale. Enslaved people were held in open-air enclosure, often chained directly to the ground. They were kept for several days, during which they were barely fed, just enough to stay alive, sometimes washed and rubbed with palm oil to make them look healthier to buyers, and then inspected, selected, and finally sold. The buyers were often French, British, or Portuguese traders. They exchanged weapons, alcohol, beads, or metal tools for human lives. Even though there were no photographs or digital records, these people were kind of documented. Captives were often branded with haute iron or listed in logbooks, sometimes only by age, sex, spoken languages, and port of departure. There are even surviving drawings showing silhouettes with codes or labels beneath, used to track them as property. So as you can understand, Bimbia was one of the most active export ports for slaves in Central Africa. Additionally, out of the 12.5 million Africans deported through the transatlantic slave trade, nearly 2.5 million came from the region we now call Cameroon. That's 20% of the entire slave trade for just one country. And Bimbia was the main departure point. And this story matters because it's not only about slavery, it's about resilience, memory, and the rights to know the origin. Today, Bimbia still exists. It's a historical site that can be visited. In some museum like the one in Yaoundé, Cameroon's capital, you can see chains, stone anchor, and remains of the holding area. And when you see them, you realize this isn't just the past. It is a story still echoing in the present. So, did you know all this? That was your Minutes of Culture with BMBIA.